Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another devotional with me, Tom. This one is Count It All Joy, Part 2. Let's dive in. James chapter 1 verse 2 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of any kind. A trial really is anything that we experience, or an event or something that happens to us that causes suffering. And it's in the middle of these trials that we often wonder like where God is, like why are you allowing this to happen, and how is this working in my favor? And so this is really quite a challenging topic to wrap our head around. But I really believe and I'm praying that God's going to break down some barriers in your life as you're watching this video. And so I want to ask the question, how can we consider it pure joy when these tough times are upon us, when we can't see a way through? How can we take such negative feelings and turn them into such a positive one? I want to talk about when we're considering these tough times, these trials, tribulations, and how we can find joy through that, is the idea that in order to grow, you've got to go through some pain. A good illustration of this is exercise. When you're training a muscle to become stronger, you've got to work it, and then you've got to tear those muscle fibers, and that can be quite painful and you can be sore the next day. Ultimately, those muscle fibers are going to heal and reconnect, which will bring about strength and growth. As I was thinking and praying about this topic and how we can find joy through the pain and find joy through the trial, I was reminded of Paul's words in his second letter to the Corinthians. He says, "We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed." The Message translation puts it like this: "We've been surrounded and battered by troubles, but we aren't demoralized. We're not sure what to do, but we know that God knows what to do. We've been spiritually terrorized, but God hasn't left our side. We've been thrown down, but we haven't been broken." No one said following Jesus would be easy, because there is an enemy out there and there is an opposition that wants us to be stuck in our own ways forever. And that means that there's a target on our back. That means that tough times and trials will come. But if we are planted in the Word of God, if our relationship is strong in Him, then the winds might blow, the storms might come, and we'll be pulled this way and pushed that way. We might move, we might bend, but we'll never break. And so when the storms of life come, all we've got to do is focus on strengthening our roots in Jesus. And even when we feel like we're on the edge of defeat, we know that we can't lose. When we're with Jesus, the victory is ours. If we look at some of the amazing moments of faith in the Bible, we look at Abraham, who was called the father of faith. We look at Moses, who led the Israelites out of the clutches of Egypt. Or Peter in the New Testament, walking on water. We look at these moments and we think, wow, that's amazing. And we so often focus on the end result. We often forget where those moments came from. And actually, in so many of these moments, they come from a place of turmoil. They come from a place of staring death in the face, or in the face of impossibility. I mean, these are not fun situations. For Abraham, he was this close to sacrificing his son before God intervened. In the story of Moses, we can see what God did in the end, and we can see the miracles that happened along the way. But we can often miss the hundreds of years of slavery that led up to that point. And for Peter, standing on the edge of that boat, hearing Jesus call him over and ask him to do the impossible, to walk on the water. If we take a snapshot of just that moment right there, the fear and the discomfort in that situation must have been unbelievable. But these moments when we're stood in the middle of a trial, staring impossibility in the face, not knowing what our next step is going to be, these are the moments where our faith is tested. These are the moments where it might be painful, it might be uncomfortable, we might not understand it, and we might not see what God is doing, but ultimately this is what real faith is. It's taking a step before we know that the ground is going to appear, and trusting that God will catch us, trusting that God will lead us on. These moments where our faith is tested are the moments where our faith is about to grow. The moments where we can no longer do it ourselves are the moments just before God is going to do something amazing. And so I know this has been a lot. This is a pretty meaty topic to fit into such a small amount of time. But if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with me or the youth team. I'd love to dive deeper with you guys and discuss this further. Let me leave you with one final thought as we circle back to the original question of how can we consider it pure joy when we're faced with trials. I want to challenge you to change the way that you view these trials and these tough times and start to see them as a test of your faith. Start to see them as an opportunity to display your trust in God and an opportunity to grow in Him. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever you're going through, I want to encourage you to choose to draw close to Jesus in love. And in His perfect time, we will see Him work all things together for good.